The dinner table was unusually quiet, save for the clinking of cutlery and the occasional cough. Jungkook was scrolling through his phone under the table, while Wine picked at her food, avoiding looking at him. Their mothers exchanged long, tired glances before Jungkook's mother suddenly set her fork down with a decisive clink. "That's it, I have had enough." Both Jungkook and Wine looked up startled. "You two behave like flatmates who barely tolerate each other," his mother continued, eyes narrowing. "This is not what marriage is supposed to look like." Wine's mother leaned in, nodding firmly. "Exactly, we have talked it over and we have decided. You are going on a vacation together." Jungkook's head snapped up. "Excuse me?" Wine blinked, almost choking on her water. "Vacation? With him?" "Yes," her father said sternly, his deep voice leaving no space for argument. "Paris, tickets are already booked." Jungkook gave a dry laugh, pushing his chair back slightly. "I don't have time for childish trips. I have meetings, deadlines, and I have a life, you know," she interrupted, her voice sharp. "I don't want to play honeymoon in front of tourists just to make you all happy." Their fathers exchanged look, unimpressed. "Enough," JK's father said. "This isn't a request, it is an order. You can glare at each other across the Eiffel Tower for all we care." Her mother added, a sly smile tugging her lips. "But you will go." Wine crossed her arms, muttering, "Wonderful, a week trapped with an ice cube." Jungkook shot her a look, smirking faintly. "Better than being stuck with a chatterbox who thinks Paris is about buying Eiffel Tower keychains." Their mothers ignored the bickering, satisfied while their fathers leaned back in their chairs like judging who had passed a final verdict. And so, despite the scolds and sarcastic remarks, the very next morning found Jungkook and Wine standing shoulder to shoulder at the airport terminal, dragging their suitcases like prisoners being marched into exile, except this exile had crossings, cobblestones, and the kind of forced closeness neither of them could escape. The Eiffel Tower shimmered like a golden promise against the night sky, casting a reflection over the scene. Lovers posed for photographs, children laughed as they chased bubbles, and the aroma of roasted chestnut wafted from a nearby vendor's cart. But between Wine and Jungkook, silence pressed heavier than the December chill. She tucked her scarf tighter, her heels clicking on the cobble path. Beside her, Jungkook walked with the kind of stiff posture that made it clear he would rather be in a conference room with spreadsheet than in Paris with her. "Lovely, isn't it?" she ventured, gesturing at the glowing tower. He didn't look. "Overrated?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Of course, overrated, just like every attempt they make to bridge the silence between them." "And then, Wine?" Her breath hitched. "That voice?" She turned, and there he was, Luke. Memories came rushing back like a flood. The boy who had once carried her notebooks across campus, the man who had whispered promises of forever under the rain, the first kiss that had stolen her innocence and left her blushing for days. "Luke?" she breathed. He grinned, boyish but mature, dressed sharply in a black coat that framed his broad shoulders. "I don't believe this. You here? In Paris?" Before she could answer, his eyes flicked to the man beside her. The air shifted. Jungkook's gaze had sharpened, his arm slipping almost instinctively around Wine's waist. He pulled her closer, so close she could feel the heat radiating from him through the winter layers. "Who is this?" he asked, voice deceptively calm. Though his jaw was tense, Luke extended a polite smile. "An old friend," his eyes softened on Wine. "An old friend." Jungkook's hand tightened on her grip, fingers pressing against fabric. Her husband. The words fell like a weight between them. Wine startled at the intensity with which he said them, like a claim, like a warning. Luke raised a brow, amused. Well, congratulations. Paris is romantic enough, I suppose, for newlyweds. Wine opened her mouth, but Jungkook's low voice cut her off. We are not here for romance. Luke chuckled lightly, his eyes flicking to Wine as if sharing an inside joke. That sounds exactly like you, Wine, still choosing the practical over the sentimental. Something inside her twisted. The Luke she knew had once teased her about being too practical. Now his tone was almost pointed. Before she could respond, Jungkook spoke again, quieter but firm. You seem to know my wife very well. Better than most, he said easily. We go back a long way. That did it. Wine felt the subtle shift in Jungkook's body, the way his arm pulled her tighter, almost possessively. His fingers brushed her aside in a way that wasn't tender, it was a warning. Luke's lips curved. Perhaps we should all grab coffee, catch up. I would love to hear what she's been up to these days. No, he said flatly, his tone clapped. Final. We are busy. Wine's eyes darted between them. Jungkook, she began, but he didn't let her finish. Good night, Mr. Luke, he supplied, smirking, but I suppose you will remember it anyway. The two men locked eyes, an unspoken duel before Luke finally gave Wine a lingering smile and stepped back into the crowd. Silence settled again, thicker this time. Wine pulled away slightly from Jungkook's grip. What was that? Jungkook didn't look at her. His eyes were still narrowed at the direction Luke had gone. You tell me, wife, exactly how many more friends of yours do I have to run into before this trip is over? Her brows snapped together. Oh, don't you dare. You don't get to turn this around on me. He was just saying hello. Hello? He finally turned to her, his dark eyes glinting under the Paris light. That didn't look like a hello. That looked like a man remembering exactly how you used to smile for him. Her heart shuddered. Are you jealous? She asked, incredulous. His gaze bored into hers, voice low, rough. Maybe I am. She blinked. You? The man who hasn't even held my hand properly since our wedding? Now you suddenly care? The corner of his jaw ticked, his hand still resting on her hip as though he hadn't realized he hadn't let go. Maybe I don't like another man looking at you like you are still his. Heat flushed her cheeks. His words weren't gentle, they were edged raw. But they pierced through her like nothing else he had ever said. For the first time, his touch didn't feel cold. It felt like fire, like possession. Like something dangerous was finally cracking through his eyes. Paris, Hotel Room 69, midnight. The city of life glittered outside the window, but inside Room 69, the silence was anything but romantic. Wine leaned against the window, arms crossed, heels still on, trying to ignore the man standing a feet behind her. His tie was undone, jaw clenched, chest rising with slow, deliberate breaths, the kind that only came when he was barely holding it together. You ran into your ex, he finally said, voice low. She didn't look at him. You still didn't let go of it? It was just a coincidence, like I said. Funny, he looked pretty dumb to see you, and you looked ready to punch him in the face. He moved then slowly until he was behind her, his chest brushing her back, his breath hot against her neck. His hand slid down her arm, stopping at her wrist, like he was deciding whether to restrain her or beg her not to leave. You laughed with him. His said voice darker now. Tuck your hair behind your ear. You only do that when you're nervous or flirting. She turned to face him. His eyes were darker than the Paris night. Heart burned beneath their anger, possessive, hungry. You are just jealous, she whispered. Damn right I am. He grabbed her waist, pressing her back against the window. You walk around like you don't know what you do to me, like I haven't memorized every inch of your body the first night of our marriage, like I wouldn't ruin anyone who tried to touch what's mine. Her breath caught, then he kissed her. Heart feels like a man trying to erase every trace of another. His hands gripped her thighs, lifting her with ease as her back met the cold glass. She gasped, legs wrapping around his waist, fingers buried in his hair as his mouth moved to her neck, biting, sucking, claiming. This dress, he growled, tugging at the hem as he carried her toward the bed. The way it hugged your curves while he looked at you. You are being irrational, she whispered, breathless. He tossed her onto the bed and followed, pinning her wrist above her head with one hand. No, I'm being honest. His free hand slid up her thigh, pushing the dress higher and higher until she moaned, arching beneath him. Every kiss was a punishment, every touch a confession, every breath was, I want you and don't make me lose you, all at once. Say it, he demanded, voice rough against her ears as he moved inside her. Say you are mine. Her eyes fluttered shut, jaw trembling. I'm yours. He stilled just for a heartbeat, then moved harder, deeper, slower, like he needed to feel every inch, every heartbeat, every yes she had left to give. Again, he growled, his lips brushing her jaw. I'm yours, she cried, nails clawing at his back, louder. I'm yours. And when she shattered beneath him, voice hoarse, eyes glossy, legs trembling, he kissed her forehead like a man who was still terrified of losing her. But for now, she was his, and he wasn't letting go. Same night, hours later, hotel room 69. The first round had ended in a tangle of limbs and breathless curses. Her dress halfway off the bed and his shirt lost somewhere near the mini bar. But there was no such thing as satisfaction between them. Not really. Not when everything between them still throbbed with want, and the silence in the dark felt too full of things they hadn't said. She lay there in warm sheets, back curved to him, hair a beautiful mess against the pillows. He watched her chest rise and fall, memorizing the softness of her skin, the sheen of sweat on her collarbone. But he wasn't done, not even close. He leaned over her, pressing a kiss to her bare shoulder. Then, trailing it down her spine, she sighed. Again? I'm not finished with you, he whispered, voice gravel and velvet. His hand slipped over her hip, pulling her closer until her back was flush against his chest. Is this about him? She asked quietly, eyes still closed. He paused just for a moment, then kissed the nape of her neck, slow and reverent this time. No, he said, this is about you, all of you being mine. She turned toward him, eyes dark, cheeks flushed. She pulled him down by his neck and kissed him, not fiery this time, but deep like a secret, like a promise. And then it began again, slower, more aching than before, his hand between her thighs, her breath catching against his lips, their bodies curling around each other like they had break if they let go. There was no rush now, no jealousy, just a quiet, maddening rhythm of two people lost in each other's gravity. He whispered her name into her neck when she came undone. She moaned his like a prayer. And afterward, when they lay tangled in the sheets, sweat cooling, breath steadying, he didn't pull away. Instead, he tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said so quietly she almost missed it, "Stay for the morning, please." Morning light, 6:47 a.m. The soft Parisian sunlight slipped through the gauzy hotel curtains, casting golden strips across her rumpled bed. She walked slowly, warm, soaring a best away. Limbs tangled with his arm was slung over her waist, chest pressing to her back, his breast steady against her shoulder, and for the first time she let herself stay in it. No rush, no guilt, just him. She rolled slightly to face him. His hair was messy, lips parted in sleep. But even now, his hand was resting possessively on her thigh. Like part of him couldn't stop claiming her even in dreams. She studied him for a moment, this man who was never supposed to mean anything. The stranger, the arranged married called husband of mine, this complication, but here he was, in her bed, in her heart. He stirred, opened his eyes, and instead of smirking or teasing, he just looked at her, raw, real. "Good morning," he said, voice husky. She smiled soft and sleepy, barely. He reached out, thumb brushing her lower lip. "You ruined me last night," he said, completely. She laughed quietly, nestling into their chest. "Then don't put yourself back together, Mr. Husband." He held her tighter. "I'm not leaving you, that you see from my grip." "My wife? Really? Why, wanna try?" He smirked and trickled her. She giggled. No, you win. Let me go, Jingle."